Crazy. Hey folks, it's Brian here again. Finally, it's been like weeks and weeks since we were able to get my group together to play, and we were able to get like 3 mini sessions done over the last basically a week. We did a Thursday night, a Saturday night, and then a Wednesday night. So during the week they were kind of short, um, but hey, anything to get people together to play, right? So when we last left our party, they were uh, heading down to the Temple of Black Earth with their Orog delegate from the Ice Shield Orcs to try to gather some evidence that all this crazy weather stuff, elemental weather stuff, is happening in the valley is from the elemental cults, not from Grumish, so that the high war leader, I forgot what they called her, um, of the Ice Shield Orcs would cease the vicious attacks on the residents in the valley. They had gotten down into the temple and had ended up hiring 3 of the Orogs that were guarding the prisoners in the dungeon level of the monastery to come with them. And they had gotten across the bridge, had been attacked by the gargoyles, and finished that encounter. And then we're moving forward to um, do a long rest, what they wanted to do. And in the temple, after you come across the bridge, there's a mini courtyard kind of thing. It's all underground, right? So really not really a courtyard, but there's this open area. It's got a couple of arrow slits. It had a couple of double doors. One was broken down, and then there was this main chamber. So everybody got into that first area to do their long rest. On the process of them coming down before and the hobgoblins going up, there's actually written in the book, if the players come and get this way and they leave, then Marl, whatever, the Earth Cultist guys, will do this kind of change. They'll pull guys from one area and put them into that main room behind the double doors and put portcullis down. And it doesn't say, well, I'm assuming there are portcullises there. They just lowered them. They were up before. Um, so I had to read up on the portcullis rules and make some kind of determination on how tough this is going to be. Um, and then so they're staged there, right? There's I think it's a burrow shark. No, not burrow shark. A stone melder and some cultists and a couple of ogres. All right, so they're camped out there. I put the 2 arrow slit guys on a higher alert because normally they're just not paying any attention. But since guys came through, but it's been, you know, almost a 10-day, right, since they were there. So heightened level of awareness, but not, massive. So, and then there's 2 guys each arrow slip. They don't describe how these 2 guys can shoot through a single arrow slit. And I actually looked up some arrows. I want to see how much visibility do they have into that room. I mean, what are the black spots kind of thing where you can actually hide out and not get shot. But of course, one side shooting and the other side shooting, just crossfire and that kind of thing. So I did some searching online, the arrow slits, because I wanted to get a decent kind of realistic um, area of attack kind of thing on there, and it looked like it was an actual 90-degree outside the wall um, area of effect kind of deal. But how do you get 2 guys? And you can see they're side by side. One guy shoots and the other guy shoots. But you're not supposed to be in the same hex during a combat round at the same time. There's that kind of stuff. Well, one side's got Drugar, dwarves, so I just figured they built a platform. So there's one guy low and one guy high. But on the other side, there's actually 2 um, Earth Guardians. Well, the Earth Fighter guys, right, with the stone plate mail or plate armor. There's 2 on that side as well. I was, kind of figuring how does this work out, rule wise? How can I justify, this kind of thing happening? Didn't get that far, didn't figure it out. So anyway, That's the room they were going to do their long rest. Well, during the fight, I made some rolls, and the stone melder got a 20 on his perception. He heard the fighting out there. He sets people up. They do a couple things, and so he sets up all his guys behind the wall and behind the one door that's still up, and they're listening. Well, in this session, Lady Jovashai was with them, or the player that runs Lady Jovashai was with them, and so he's a smart player. He knows his character, and so he was able to do a lot of decent things. And one of the things was standard thing was pretty much send Aloysius' head invisible, and he went out, and so he went through the bars, and he saw all these folks were back. And all these guys are doing an ambush, and there's portholes down, and so they cast, or Lady Jovashai was going to cast darkness on Aloysius, and he was going to go to the center of the room, so the whole room is blacked out with magic darkness. And we're sending 3 Orog hirelings in to lift the portcullis. It's kind of funny because before the session started going, one of the players and I, who are old time players, were talking about stuff with one of the players about AD&D, 18 double aught strength, bend bars and lift gate percent. Just that thing is interesting. Hey, we were talking about that, and here we're doing it. So anyway, they send the Orogs in. The Orogs, I figured you're doing like a clean and jerk, lift up, push up. So it take 2 rounds to get the things all the way up. You could pull in one round. You could pull up enough that people could roll through, crawl underneath. So if they wanted to get everybody just to run through, they'd have to spend 2 rounds putting it up. So the Orogs get out there. They do the lift. They made the roll, and I think it was at that point I had them roll initiative. So they knew something was up. And the stone melder has tremor sense. So he doesn't need to see with his eyes. He can sense through the earth where everybody is walking around. Now, Aloysius can't see because he's flying. But, so he knows these 3 Orogs came out to bend bars, or bed bars, to lift the portcullis. And so he centers the room, and he fires off an erupting earth. And that does a bunch of damage to the Orogs. In fact, I want to say it killed one of them. And then the players are kind of actually hit 2 of the players as well because they're within the radius of effect. And so they start freaking out. I honestly don't remember what they did because I don't think they dropped the darkness. They're just trying to figure out what to do. Because their standard area attack is with Lady Jovashai and her hypnotic trance thing. But I believe she has to see that. But she can see through Aloysius. He's got devil vision, so he can see through the darkness. So she might have been able to do that, but she didn't. They just started freaking out. And the second round comes through, and the Stone Miller does another erupting earth again. And that kills the rest of the Orogs out there. As they say, okay, we're done. They just take off running. Now, when they were up in the monastery, one of the random encounters is the hobgoblins, because the hobgoblins are up there with one of the burrow shark guys. And I had contemplated having the burrow shark smelling the horses and going out and eating all the horses while the party's in the monastery, but I had him go with the hobgoblins. Had noticed something going on. He caught sight of the players doing stuff, so we went to get the rest of the hobgoblins and the burrow shark, and then they started following. So they're like 15 rounds behind, is what I had figured. And so when the party says, "Okay, we're leaving," and they split off, and they start going back to the monastery. They're gonna meet up. So I just drew a little hallway, and they encounter the burrow shark and 2 of the hobgoblins. Was there 4? Well, not all the hobgoblins, because they left some of the hobgoblins upstairs, just to keep eyes out for stuff. But they wiped the hobgoblins easy. They ended up knocking the burrow shark off his boulette because the barbarian wanted to have a boulette pet. It's fully grown, it's already trained, it's already matched up, they got this bond. Okay. Anyway, so they knock him down. A couple rounds, they end up killing him. The boulette takes off, jumps and burrows. It's gone. He's actually going back to the Earth Temple with the other boulettes. He'll hang out there with them. Although there's something about boulettes fighting all the time, which is why the ones down there are chained up, if I remember right. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he's just picking on them. Anyway, boulette goes off. They end up killing the guys. No real issues there. They did hypnotic trance, I believe, on one of them, but ended up just slitting his throat. And they go back up. They let the prisoners loose. So the prisoners are just kind of trying to get out, sort of. I didn't think this through about the hobgoblins counting the prisoners. So they bypassed. And so the prisoners are outside, going through the crevice, trying to figure out what they're going to do. Party comes up, gets together with them. They make a camp outside the crevice, escort them all the way to Red Larch. They give the dwarf scholar his books, and he's going to head south to Waterdeep, where he was headed. All the rest of the prisoners were, go your own way kind of stuff. So they're going to just take off, and the party's going, okay, what do we need to do next? And I have a certain way that I do leveling up that I've mentioned in one of the earlier videos, and I'll do a second video specifically about this kind of stuff in some comments. They decide, okay, we're going to go to the Summit Hall so the paladin can do some of his leveling up stuff. And, they had to go to the Ice Shield Horse, that's right. They get the prisoners off. Then they head their way back to the Ice Shield High Warlord, that's it, the High War Chief, there we go, High War Chief. To have the emissary and them discuss what they found and help support the issue that it's not Grummish, but is the elemental cultists. They're causing all the issues in the weather, the fire, the wind in the valley. So they make their way back through. There's a couple random encounters. I didn't take notes at the time, and it's been well over a week now, so I don't remember exactly what they ran into, but they ran into a couple things all the way. They get to the Ice Shield Orc Lodges. She's not in the one they run into, but she's the next one over. So the next day they go over there. They have their little meeting and stuff, and make some, make some rolls. Insight versus, it's not deception, but the other one where you convince somebody of something. Anyway, made some rolls. Getting an advantage with the first I had to make some rolls for the Orog. Did he really believe, because he didn't see the earth eruption, but he sure felt it. Well, there's something going on with these earthquakes, at least, right? So it makes sense that there's this other stuff going on as well. So made a convincing for him. He was convinced. They make a convincing for the High War Chief. She was convinced. So she offers them a year and a day so that the land may heal. So there's a year and a day of peace in the valley. After that, they're just going to normal raiding after that. So that mission accomplished. I should give him some experience points for that. Now that I think about it, I probably should have done that. Anyway, so they after that they decide, okay, we need to do some stuff to level up, get some of our specialty skills and spells and stuff. So they head down to Summit Hall so the paladin can meet with the paladin's tier there and do some of his leveling up stuff. They go over to West Bridge to hang out while the druid goes out into the Sword Mountains to try and find some mountain druids so he can learn heat metal. That's one thing he wants to learn is heat metal. And it just made sense to me that only certain groups of druids are really going to know heat metal, right? And I figured mountain dwarves would be mountain druids would be one of those. So they're hanging out in Westbridge. And he goes into the Sword Mountains. While they're in Westbridge, they're dealing with the innkeeper and stuff. They find out about there being some raids in some local homesteads, and that there are these pair of siblings that are missing, and that there's this dwarven prospector that usually comes through once or twice a month. Can't see him for a couple months. And so they've got their investigator hats getting ready to put those on. The druid goes out into the Sword Mountains, goes through the northern edge of that forest, what's it called? Crypt Garden Forest. And, just making rolls. And he runs into the hunting lodge there. Helven Blade House. And by chance, in fact, the people are there, having a hunting party. So they're, things are happening, things are going around. He's traveling in this giant cat form. I'll talk about it in the other video. Anyway, he's driving in this giant cat form. And so he sees them, knows they're there, but he bypasses all this stuff. He goes through there. I remember reading something about there being these bandit camps out there, because they can give you clues to something else happening. But when I went back through to find it, I couldn't find it anywhere. Anyway, I want to say he found one of the camps. It was empty. Or he found a pathway to a camp. That's what it was. He found a pathway to a camp. But he continues on. He's going looking for druid sign in the mountains. And it took him like 3 days before he found some druid sign. So he hangs out at that spot. A couple days later, druids show up. And so he introduces himself. They make discussions. He tells them what he's there for. They make some deals. And they teach him heat metal and call lightning. And there's one other one, a cantrip or something. So he's got his spell list up. And then he heads back. Oh, while the druid's doing that, the party goes out to this homestead that was raided, and the children. It just says siblings. It doesn't give any age, but they're working in the kitchen of one of the temples. So I figure they're teenagers, right? I had the parents be killed because there's not a lot of data on that one. So they go through the thing. It's been ravaged, torn apart. I invented a small water tower that had fallen over because one of the random encounters they ran into on the way was mud methods, or was methods. I wrote something in between ice and mud, so I just chose the mud because I wanted water associated, because the water cultists who did the raid. And they do tell you that water cultists did the raid. That's the water temples, or the river guard keep, or whatever it is where they're in the kitchen. Anyway, so there's mud. They're investigating. Mud methods attack. And they're kind of weak, but it's kind of interesting. It was kind of cool. A couple of them tried the puking mud attack. One missed. One actually succeeded, and it was on the half-orc barbarian. So he was restrained, and he just could not make his dex save, which was great because he didn't get to do anything in that fight at all. When mud muffets die, they explode, and there's another dex saving throw. It's only DC 11, and these guys have all got, like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, +5 kind of stuff to that. So, they're all making those kind of DC saves, although I think one of them missed. But only lasts 1 round, so it's not much there. So I ended up killing up with the Muffets. Had to make a perception, or do an investigation at first, find some stuff. And then had them do those who had good investigation got to do a perception, and Paladin did well on both. So he found, should have been a shard. If I told him he found one of these shark tooth swords, they know it was water cultists. That was the clue to let them know. Should have been a shard of it, just a piece, but CLV. So now they know the water cultists involved with this, and they're trying to figure out, where are there water cultists coming near Westbridge? Well, there's the bog north of here, but there's the river way over there. So they figure these water cultists are hanging out at the bog. A couple days later, they wait around for the druid. The druid, I'm gonna go back to investigate, trying to meet the druid part, or the homestead was partway to the Helven House. They decided to go to Helven House, see if they've seen any signs of these water cultists and stuff. Oh, and ever since they got the prisoners out, they've been spreading this word about beware of the cultists. There's earth cultists and there's air cultists, and there are fire cultists. They ran into them twice. That was one of the random encounters I ran into, was again those fire cultists, the double fireball and hellhounds this time. But they pretty much made mincemeat of them. Hurt pretty bad. The party got hurt pretty bad, but it was an evening encounter, so they get a long rest afterwards. You got your points back. issues. And water cultists. They've had encounters with all of them, but they don't know where the fire cultist base and the water cultist base are. I'll probably have them make intelligence rolls to remember that map that was on the barge that had an X where River Guard Keep is. So maybe they'll remember that. And in fact, I'll ask to see if anybody still has that map. Okay, so they're spreading that word everywhere they go. So I get to Helven House and spreading that word, asking if they've seen anything, and they haven't because while they had to stay in there for a couple of days. Made some rolls because be honest, guys from Waterdeep out at their hunting lodge, they're not going to just invite everybody into their house, right? But I had to make some, they made some reaction rolls where they were, friendly, reacting to them a couple times. Okay, yeah, sure. You guys want to check around? By all means, yeah, you can stay here. We have an issue. We got some extra rooms, kind of deal. So, but while they're there searching around, they hear rumors about the ghost family, the family ghost, which is actually a dragon. And because the dragon's there, nothing evil comes around. So all the bandit camps have been emptied out. Cultists don't even go near there, so they've had no evidence of that happening in this area. And while they're there, the druid gets back. Again, he's in camp form, but he makes some makes perception rolls, sees the guy, so he knows they're there. He comes, changes form, goes back, and they powwow and decide to go check out the bog to see if there are water cultists there. So they go and check out the bog. No encounters on the way, but that night there's an encounter. It turns to be whites. Finally, I think something that can really hurt these guys. And whites actually do strength drain kind of things, just permanent hit points. But there's 4 of them. There's 4 of them. 2 end up on the paladin, 1 on Lady Joe is Shy, and 1 on the barbarian. The 2 elves are hanging up inside trees, and Aloysius and 1 of the elves are up at all times. Having them make perception rolls, they missed it completely. So the whites spin, they get a free attack. Now, they've been really vicious and just made them automatic crits. 2 attacks, automatic crits both times. Yeah, I could have done that. I'm playing this time with them whites, so I'm kind of playing with them, figuring do that drain strength on, lower their total hit points. Put some fear of God into them, kind of into the player kind of thing. So give it a sword, claw, drain. But that drain really doesn't do that much when your characters are 5th level. It really doesn't. Not much, because if you get a long rest, all your strength drains recovered. So they whack. They kill off the whites. The last one tries to book it, but they end up catching him and taking him down. And I believe that's where we ended that last session. No, okay. Next day they get up fully healed because of a long rest, and they head up to Tribor. That's the way. So they went to Tribor, a safe place to stay, and that's where we ended the session. They're in Tribor to spend the night. Well, that was our 3 mini sessions. I'll do a second video with comments, critique on me, myself, and I, and from there we'll go. It's been 23 minutes. If you guys stayed through the whole thing, thanks. But like I said before, these videos are for me to review, me to critique myself and my play. But it is nice to get what happened out there. So and some guys are watching this and giving me comments back is great. So you guys, good gaming.